Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to BatteField 6. Beta Weekend 2 is officially live, and as far as I know, this is the last chance that normal people like you and me are going to get to actually play and experience the game for ourselves before it launches on October 10th. So before you jump back on and lock back in, stick around for just a second because we are going to very quickly go over everything that's changed from weekend 1, that's new for weekend 2, so that you don't miss out on a single bit of it. So jumping right in, we will start things off with settings. One of the most consistent points of feedback that I heard last weekend, especially from controller players I think, but also from keyboard and mouse players, was that the game settings were just honestly a bit of a hot mess. And I gotta say, I have to agree with that. The settings were confusing, hard to navigate with important things buried in layered submenus, and honestly, I think it took me a good hour before even jumping into my first game to just sort of get things set up to a point that I felt like it was a decent starting foundation. And for that reason, I am happy to report that the settings have at least not changed at all from last weekend. So whatever customizations you did with your various different aim sensitivities, dead zones, etc., all that stuff will still be present when you load into the game for Beta Weekend 2. Now, of course, on the downside, no change also means no improvement. But honestly, it's only been a few days since the close of Beta Weekend 1, and I gotta say, I wasn't honestly really expecting any major changes here for Beta Weekend 2. However, I do remain hopeful that they will hopefully take a look at this stuff and really try and clean up those menus before launch. Moving on to game modes. So Beta Weekend number 2 is of course going to be bringing back all of the modes that we had in Weekend 1. So we're still going to have Breakthrough, Conquest, Domination, and King of the Hill. However, in addition to all of those modes, this weekend we are also finally getting Rush. Rush is of course a classic Battlefield game mode. If you're coming from Call of Duty and experiencing Battlefield for the first time, I would maybe compare Rush to something like Search and Destroy, except on a much, much grander and more epic scale. Rush is of course live right now and will be available all weekend, I believe. But in addition to Rush, we are also going to be getting a brand new game mode called a Squad Deathmatch. Now, like I said, this game mode is brand new. I have never played this, but I think from the name we can probably make an educated, decent guess as to what this mode's all about. However, unlike Rush, Squad Deathmatch is not available on day 1, which is Thursday, and it is instead supposed to be added to the roster of game modes on Friday, day 2. And staying on game modes, there is definitely one more thing worth mentioning, which is the fact that this week they have also added a custom search feature to the play menu. This search feature is basically there to allow you to predetermine which game modes and which maps you want to play on. So using this feature, you can choose a certain subset of game modes, a certain subset of maps, and then you can go ahead and search for a lobby. Now, it is also important to remember that they have additionally stated about this search filter that using the filter is not necessarily guaranteed to find you the match that you're looking for. So, for instance, if you put in a certain combination of game mode / map and push the search button, if it doesn't find you a lobby after a predetermined amount of time, it will drop you into just basically, I think, the next available lobby. Which, I don't know, is fine, I guess. I mean, it's definitely good to have the option, right? Like, it's good to have a little bit of customization when it comes to whatever type of game that you want to play. However, like I just mentioned, it's not guaranteed, and it also still doesn't solve the issue of persistent lobbies. I mean, honestly, DICE, just give us a server browser and none of this is necessary. I really don't know what the hang-up is, but put the server browser in the game. Which I guess kind of brings us nicely along to maps. So for the maps, we have everything coming back from week 1, meaning we're going to have Siege of Cairo, Liberation Peak, and Iberian Offensive all returning for week 2. However, we are also getting one additional new map called Empire State. Empire State takes place in New York City inside the iconic borough of Brooklyn, which I think is pretty cool, I guess. I mean, I live not too far from New York. I've been to Brooklyn. I've walked those brownstone-lined streets. So, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what DICE does with it in-game. However, I can't say that I'm not at least a little disappointed with the fact that Empire State is an infantry-only map. And as such, it is another small map. I mean, look, don't get me wrong. Like I just said, I definitely think it'll be cool to play on the streets of New York, but I can't help but feel like there's a bit of a missed opportunity here. I feel like it would have been really great to just give us at least one big map. One big map with a bunch of vehicles to just really show off that classic BatteField all-out warfare experience. But, I ain't in charge of nothing, so it is what it is, I guess. Anyway, there is one last thing that I want to talk about before I go, and that is challenges. If you somehow missed it last weekend, there were a bunch of different in-game challenges that you could complete while playing. And by completing them, you would unlock a bunch of different stuff like character skins, weapon packages, dog tags, etc. And all this stuff would be unlocked and available on your account when the game launches in October. And all these challenges, or all the rewards that you get from completing these challenges, are exclusive to the beta. So you either get them now or you don't get them at all. And fortunately, all of those challenges, all this stuff from last weekend, do return this weekend. So if you were working on something and you didn't get a chance to finish it, you can pick right back up where you left off and go ahead and finish all those challenges. And in addition to all of the challenges returning from last weekend, there are 3 new challenges available for weekend 2. And that's it. Everything new for weekend 2. I hope this was helpful. Thank you so much for sticking around to the end. I will be streaming every chance that I get this weekend. Drops will definitely be on. So if you haven't yet unlocked everything through Twitch Drops, definitely stop by, say hello. That's Grip It by the Husk on Twitch. Anyway, that's all I got for now. I will see you in the next one real soon.